It is Entrepreneurs Hub, growing your small, medium, and large enterprise. Always a pleasure to spend time with you. Thank you so much for joining us for this new episode this week. UBC Inspiring Uganda. My name is Sandra Kahonde. I'm having a great man, as always. Words of wisdom flow from his mouth you can't imagine. And the way he embraces so passionately when he carries on his calling. That's what I should say. That is his job title. It's a calling when he sits in his office in that particular chair, thinking about the young ones out there, thinking about a Ugandan who wants to tap into the industry overseas. Ashe Kitandwe, the CEO of Unjazi Limited. We've been having him on a number of episodes, and I'm sure he has been a great inspiration. He's here with us. We want to find out what he thinks about the women this month, and not forgetting what's in store for Ugandan out there who is looking for labor elsewhere. Keep watching. Welcome once again. Ashe here for you. It's always an honor to spend time with you. Welcome to this particular episode. How have you been? How has business been?
I've been fine, and we thank God that everything seems to be going well at the moment. Thank you.
The findings and the experience that you have, how can we make this better, conducive, and for the Ugandans to benefit? In regards to Ministry of Gender, the Ugandans ready to go and work abroad, that connection, you being there, how can we bridge that gap and how can we make it better?
I must admit that the government has made some strides in this particular area. Where we are right now, 5 years ago, it was a different story altogether. But nevertheless, we need what we call overseas labor offices. For example, the Philippines, they have what they call overseas labor offices as well, where you have labor officers in conjunction with the embassy present in these countries where they send Ugandans in this case. Their job is very simple. If there is a labor dispute, they are there to handle it. That does not fall back. If it needs anything to do with the embassy, they are there. The embassy, of course, is there. But right now we have a scenario where the embassy has, I think, two people. That is the labor liaison officer and I think the third secretary or something like that. I can't remember very well. They can't handle this. Last year, I think it was last year or the other year, the government came out and said that they will deploy labor attachés. And I don't think this has happened. And those two are not able to actually handle these labor issues in this particular country. So if we can have that in every city in Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is a very big country. Remember, we have I think we have a consul in Jeddah. They can have an overseas department, labor department there. In Riyadh, same thing, and then they're able to coordinate. That will help us in handling these labor issues first hand, rather than a scenario where people are actually swarmed with these videos that talk about ABCD, and some of the things do not actually apply to us as companies because the mandate over there is government to government and stuff like that. So if we have those, I think we'll be good to go. Secondly, if we could sign more bilateral agreements so that we open up, we don't have to stick to Saudi Arabia only. No, we open up other markets. For example, I think it was 2019, the bilateral with the United Arab Emirates was signed by the minister then and the minister then of the United Arab Emirates, but unfortunately it hasn't been implemented till now. I don't know what could be the reason, but let's have many so that people have options. But right now you have one for domestic workers, particularly in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and someone has no option. And that's why you find that some of them, once they finish their contracts, we've had rumors, they come back here, then go to Dubai under illegal means. So that is the whole point. Those will be my key areas. Thank you, Sandra.
People would want to go and venture in security, but what is there for you to tap as far as the season is concerned? It was not easy for the year 2022, but this is 2023. What's up for grabs?
Sandra, thank you very much for that very good question. Truth of the matter is that the sector is open, and we have different job categories out there. I'm not going to be specific on this, on that, and the other, because we're over now 300 companies doing labor externalization. And when you check with the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, you realize that the opportunities are many. And they have an external employment management information system website where you can go and see all these job opportunities. But what I can tell Ugandans is that the jobs are there, and it is up to you to actually go and grab them, but also do your due diligence. Not every advert you see by the roadside and stuff, you just jump onto it. Verify this information with the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. If you're around Kampala, if you're up country, visit your resident district commissioner or RDC, check with them, or RCC, check with them, then you should be able. Also your district labor officers, they should be able to give you this information, and then you should be able to actually access these jobs and go and transform your life. Yeah, because this whole program, that is the whole point about it.
Well, everyone would love to go out there and work, but last year was not easy, like I mentioned earlier on, with the mistreatment in some other countries. When people go there, they're mistreated. What could be the problem? Ashe, being an expert in this, he has had the experience. We want to find out from him, what are those complaints? How is the season?
Thank you, Sandra, for that very good question. I must say that we need to do a differentiation between people who have gone through the right channels and people who have been trafficked. For example, we had groups over the media in Dubai that were complaining about different issues. Some of them had left this country as visitors, but their real intention was to work. So definitely you're working outside the law. You've not gone through proper channels. When that happens, of course, the public that doesn't really have a lot of information on the same issue will think it's actually these companies that go and do ABCD. That is one. Number two, right now we have a labor bilateral agreement that should be signed anytime, renewed anytime, probably this week or next week, because it has been running for 5 years. And along the way, the few issues that have come up, because remember, as Uganda, these are the first 5 years we've worked with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as far as domestic workers are concerned. Please note that we are only authorized to externalize Ugandans to do domestic work the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Only, it's the only country. Because sometimes I hear Oman and stuff like that. So it's not true. Yes, it is very clear. It is only the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia where we are allowed to send Ugandans to work as domestic workers. Now, because we are renewing the labor bilateral agreement, the two governments are finalizing that labor bilateral agreement. You realize that if you look at the last 5 years, remember there are countries like the Philippines that have been in Saudi Arabia for over 40 years, sending domestic workers. Uganda has only been there 5 years. So we've been learning on job as well. And the few issues here and there that have come up, I'm sure this bilateral agreement is going to take care of most of those issues. So I wouldn't really want to say that, mistreatment and stuff like that. As a human being, somewhere you're going to work in someone's house. Even in Uganda here, we have good people and bad people. So if you land into a house of someone who is not very good, there are measures put in place to make sure that those people are handled. And I must tell you that the adherence to the law in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is up there. So it is not as easy as people think. But the problem we normally face, we have people that have short goals. The whole contract is 2 years. Maybe you come back with about 20 million shillings. I'm talking about domestic workers. So after 1 year, to some people, they are leaving the country when they've never even actually ever touched 2 million shillings. So someone has 10 million shillings, and to them, wow, this is a lot of money. So how do I get home? They're excited. I don't even need to make the 20. And I'm using an example that normally happens. So one, the contract is very, very stringent, because the two governments, the contract they've agreed upon for Ugandans to actually follow on the Saudis says that if you want to terminate your contract, you, the employee, compensates your employer salary that is to the equivalent of 3 months, and then you buy your own air ticket. Remember, these Ugandans, most of them make the money and send it back home because of the different issues they have here, or the different issues they have to take care of. So in the end, they are stuck. So what happens? Okay, can I go and come up with something? Yes, I'm going to come up with this video, and I'm asking for help and all that stuff, and being the gullible society, yeah, sometimes, we're buying. When you investigate and get to the bottom, you realize that it was actually a lie. So there is that. And then there are genuine cases where people have actually been mistreated, and those measures are taken through the embassy and our partnering companies. So I wanted to give you all possible scenarios so that you understand. So I'm not denying that. Yes, but I wouldn't make it institutional. No, I wouldn't do that. Those are, different pockets of that, and they're dealt with accordingly. That bilateral agreement is between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Uganda strictly, no other country.
There's nothing like in South Africa, I got an escape to go to Canada.
We don't have a labor bilateral agreement with any other country. For domestic workers, please note that. It's only the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That's where domestic workers can go and work. No other country. Then for these other job categories, they can go and work anywhere, as long as the government has cleared their job order, and the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has issued a clearance letter that you're allowed to go and work. Yes.
Well, Ashe, being a Women's Month, I would kind of divert you from our topic of discussion for the day and get to know, has he celebrated a woman this month, or what is in store for him? What is in store for the women out there in regards to the thoughts he has? He has all the experience, has been working with women, and I'm sure he wishes them well. And this year's theme, and the international theme when it comes to Women's Day, we looked at the equal opportunities for women, and especially us targeting women in ICT. What is his stake when it comes to this topic of discussion?
Right. Thank you very much, Sandra, for that very good question. First of all, even here in Uganda, before you can go very far, at Injazi Limited, the majority of our employees here are ladies, and they are holding key positions, like the general manager is a lady, the finance and admin manager is a lady, and other ladies heading different sections. So yes, we have an intentional policy of trying to see how best we can help ladies, grow in the different areas, but also uplift the entire view on this gender called female. But also on the outside, since we are in labor externalization, the opportunities have been there, and we're trying to get much better and better opportunities in that area. And I must tell you that through that same program of labor externalization, we've been able to find work for over 1,500 ladies. So you can imagine, those are 1,500 homes affected positively, because there is some money that goes in there. They are able to look after their children, pay school fees, build houses, start businesses. So I believe we're on the right track, and we just keep going. Thank you.
Okay. Well, the findings so far when it comes to those opportunities coming to them,
right,
and others also fading out, the search itself indicates that maybe could be bias when it comes to other job opportunities.
Right.
It's either bias, or maybe they have someone to lift them up, like role models to look up to. Others are like, maybe it's women tend to throw back the pity self itself. They have a pity party. They tend to fail to have that self-confidence going through for them.
Right, right.
What would your thoughts be for that? Is it the gender issue, or the bias, the men are not supporting them, or it's like way back the way it used to be the culture, like this lady managed, like employ her, she has to go for maternity leave and things like that. So bring in complaints, you know, I need to be at home before my husband, please allow me to leave at 5 p.m. What are your findings or your thoughts to that?
Right. First of all, Sandra, I must say that in this sector, and I want to use this example in our sector here. For example, I have security guards working in Somalia, and I have some female commanders in that area, and they're doing a fantastic job. Yes, they're female.
Wow. His heart goes out to the women out there. Quite interesting.
So, for me, it is to do with you mostly as a human being. Because, of course, you find very many men who don't have that self-esteem, who don't have that confidence and stuff like that. But the opportunities are equal. Because for me, most of the job orders I receive, for example, it is very clear. These many jobs are for ladies and these many jobs are open to men, or vice versa. So because of exactly that, I believe, yes, the opportunities now are there, but the willingness to pick them up rests with you as a lady out there. And I'm saying, please continue picking up these opportunities. Secondly, if you're working, there is no job that you can't get as a lady. It's your ability that will determine that. So if you have confidence and you're really working hard and stuff like that, yes. So I think the affirmative action kind of scenario right now is a little bit not applicable in some areas. Like, for example, in our areas, if you qualify for the job, you take the job, and that is it. But how prepared are you as a human being? Are you well versed with what you're going to do? Do you have the confidence? Do you have the right goals? Because getting a job is one thing, and then realizing your goals is another. So for me, I believe it goes back to individuals partly, but also right now, if I look at Uganda in this case, the government has been really intentional in trying to ensure that there are equal opportunities for all. Now, going back to the area of ICT, I love that theme. And I think where we are now as a country, we are going global in very many ways. Because I'll give you an example, Sandra. I can hold meetings from different countries while I'm in Uganda. So the whole point is that how do we get the young ladies out there use ICT in improving their livelihood and stuff like that?
Well, if it were up to me, I wouldn't say being the first lady or the president of this nation, I would definitely do a cabinet reshuffle and position such big brains in the ministry. I'll give Ashe an opportunity. But anyways, I want to hear from him. If happened to meet His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, what would his thoughts be like? What would the discussion be centered on? Let's hear it from him.
Interesting. That's a nice one. One, I would thank him for the fact that he has opened up this particular economy. Because, Sandra, as you know, labor right now, remittances back home, they could be the leading. As far as I'm concerned, I think we've gone beyond coffee and tourism, as far as I'm concerned. So, because I remember the last statistics I received, I think for 2021, we were at $1.2 billion. And I think we've moved away from that because, of course, the numbers have grown and stuff. So, because of exactly that, I would request His Excellency the President to, one, give priority to this particular sector. By secondly, have labor attaches and an overseas department in all the countries where you have Ugandans. If there is a problem of funding, there is a way the private sector can work out something with government so that they are able to actually see how they can sustain those departments. Because, of course, if there is a will, there should be a way. So, for me, that would be number one. Number two, have more labor bilateral agreements signed. And these labor bilateral agreements are not only for domestic workers as people think. No, they are general jobs. So you can be anything. You can be a medical doctor, you can be an engineer, and stuff like that. Open that up. Once we concentrate on those two, then also we find ways of actually skilling these Ugandans more before they go. What are your actual goals? Yes, we know, people go for these trainings and stuff, but I know government can do an extra job in trying to see how best can we work with the private sector to prepare these Ugandans. Yes, there is a curriculum, I fully acknowledge that, but I know they can do something more. And guess what? Once you have the overseas labor officers, those labor officers there, because their specialty is labor, they are able to actually help these Ugandans. Maybe, for example, do you realize that sometimes you have, though you're there working, you have some time to actually do an online course? They need to hear such things. But when people are on ground, they're able to talk to them because as they're handling their disputes, they are counseling them, they're encouraging them and stuff like that. So I think those would be my key areas. And once those are done, I believe the sector should be up there. And I must tell you, Sandra, that Uganda is still a baby as far as this labor externalization sector is concerned. Countries have gone far ahead. Like I said, you imagine the Philippines. They've been in Saudi Arabia for 40 years. And for us, 5 years. So what do you expect, Sandra? Of course, we're learning on job. Of course, there are issues we didn't think about. And they happen and we have to firefight. But as we gain experience, we really need government supporting this. Because, as we all know, we don't have enough jobs in Uganda to take care of everyone. We can't accommodate all the young people. So they need to go, find them, get work, come back here with capital, they invest, they start businesses, they're able to pay taxes, because there the government is, getting something. Then they're able to also employ other young Ugandans, and then the chain goes and goes and goes and goes. So for me, that is the whole point.
One word to our wise is enough. He has shared quite a lot of things, but I believe at least you picked one or two things, but want to hear from him as you enjoy your day. What is there for you to pocket?
Is an ambassador of Uganda. So how we behave directly reflects on our country. Thank you for watching. Let's keep with safe migration. Safe migration is the only way we are going to develop this country. Thank you. To be a global leader for external employment solutions, and our mission is very simple: to offer a recruitment partnership to all our clients and candidates that is highly professional, ethical, honest, and feedback-based. And our core values are very interesting because for us, we don't use the other hierarchies most people know. The most important one is the one that we begin with, which is good sharing. In this case, we use an Ateso or Ateso Waltz.
Ateso?
Yes.
Wow.
And it's called Ayonite Edeke. It means God fear. Ayonite Edeke. It means God fear. Yeah. Since it's an African company, we want to use African language. Yes. Then the next one, Utalam. Utalam is Swahili, meaning professionalism. Then Waminifu. Waminifu is also Swahili for trustworthy. Then Uzwela. Uzwela is Zulu for empathy.
Zulu?
Yes, Zulu.
Wow. From South Africa?
From South Africa, yes. Then the last one is Iponosho. Iponosho is also Ateso for ethical.
Wow.
Yeah, so we want to use African languages because they appeal to us as Africans.
This is unique.
Yes, it is very unique. It is very unique. So that is it, really. Thank you.
Okay, for viewers watching, here I am.
Right.
I already have my bags packed.
Right.
Like in case an opportunity opens up, I really want to go and find work. How is Ashe going to help guide this person at Injaz Limited?
Right. First of all, it's very, very good that you're interested in working. And being interested in working, in most cases, from our own experience, it does not mean that you actually qualify for the job. Yes, those are two different things. And how do we find out? Well, you go through an interview. That's the very first thing. You go through an interview and we find out whether you actually qualify. Some people think people just come in and they go just like that. No, that's the first thing. Once you pass our interview, then we begin on the process. There is what we call a pre-medical. Because remember the passport and all these other things, we pay for them as a company. And we're talking about domestic workers specifically here. So they go through that medical checkup. Once the medical confirms that this person is actually in the right health, then we are able to actually proceed. Then we process for them a passport. After they've acquired a passport, then they go for a 14-day training. That 14-day training is at institutions accredited by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. So after that 14-day training has been done, then they are able to actually, what I've forgotten, when you acquire that passport and you go for the training, your CV is sent to the partnering company in Saudi Arabia in this case. And your CV is shared with potential employers. Once that happens and they've accepted or they've selected you, then they are able to actually send you a contract. Which contract is actually explained to you in English and in our local dialect. Plus, having either your mother or your father or your next of kin, whatever you want to call them, together with you, because they have to be your witnesses. Now, we explain to them in what we call a debriefing, clause by clause of that contract, in the languages they best understand, so that they know what they are getting into. So once that is done and they are happy with whatever is there, then the head of the company here, in this case myself, I sign, the candidate signs, the CEO of the recruitment agency in Saudi signs, and then the employer signs. It's a 4-party contract. So
thank you, my viewer. You're so special, and it's an honor to be spending time with Ashe for this episode. I had a great time. I don't know about you, but at least I know there's a lot for grabs. So if you have some time, or maybe you can give Ashe a call, as you can check on your screen. Maybe visit Jersey Limited right at Makindye for more details. And I'm sure you'll definitely have something, for grabs for you. Well, enjoy yourself. Take good care of yourselves. God bless you. Keep watching the national broadcaster as we inspire you. My name is Sandra. Bye-bye.